How's it going, everybody? White Guy Chair Sits back here again with yet another retro game decomp project. Christ, that was a very YouTuber intro. Whatever. So today we're talking about the Ocarina of Time decompilation project called the Ship of Harkinian. Now you might be thinking, what makes this project different from Majora's Mask other than the fact that, you know, they're different games? Well, more than you might expect. So if you remember from the last video where we talked about the Majora's Mask decompilation, that was using a tool by one Mr. Wise Guy that was essentially just automatically decompiling N64 games and running them in C code. You weren't able to get a fully polished playable experience, but you were able to get like, I don't know, 80% there. And with just one tool, like honestly, that's insane. But the Ship of Harkinian is a little bit different. So this is a manual decompilation of Ocarina of Time. So as far as I'm aware, I could be wrong about this. If I am wrong about this, please let me know in the comments section. But it seems that Ship of Harkinian was initially developed with a debug ROM of Ocarina of Time rather than an automatic tool used to like decompile everything like 80% there. So they effectively had to go into a debug ROM and just kind of look at the code and say, oh, okay, well, this does this, and kind of like rewrite everything in C code and stuff that could work in on modern computers. I have no idea if I'm getting that right or not, but that's what the comments are for, right? Long story short, this is a project that has been going on for a while now, a few years, and you might be wondering, like, why have I decided to cover this project now of all times? Well, to be quite honest with you, the Ship of Harkinian has always been on my radar, but I've never actually, like, just looked into it just because I thought, I'll get to it eventually. And eventually is right now. So the whole thing was sparked with the Majora's Mask decomp, and I'm like, all right, you know what? I played through Majora's Mask on the decomp project, which was great, by the way. Beat the whole game, did all the everything in it. It was fucking fantastic. So I'm like, okay, let's dive into Ocarina of Time with Ship of Harkinian. Let's actually, you know, play the fucking game. Let's see what enhancements you can get. And let me tell you, Ship of Harkinian is a much different experience, but it's just as good, if not a little bit better, than the Majora's Mask decomp. See, the key difference as someone who's using the software is that the Majora's Mask decomp and all the stuff done by Mr. Wise Guy and all the people helping him out is aimed more towards a playable, just out-of-the-box experience. So when you turn on the Zelda 64 decomp, you're greeted with a slick little menu, and you can just boot the game up, and then you have a few options you can toggle with. You can change like gyro aiming, you can change like control options, you can change your screen resolution, stuff like that. But for Ship of Harkinian, the options are way more in-depth. So I have some pre-recorded footage up. I'm going to go ahead and put that up on screen. And you can see that, yes, Ocarina of Time, running at 16:9 at 60 FPS. I'm pretty sure I recorded this footage at 60 FPS. I really hope I did. Smooth as butter. Fits perfectly in my monitor's aspect ratio. The HUD automatically shifts over. It's phenomenal. And while I do appreciate playing... And while I do appreciate playing these N64 games on the real, or as close to the authentic controller as I possibly can, playing this game with a modern controller is just so sublime that I honestly, it's a little bit hard for me to go back to this controller because after I played through Mario 64 a bit and some Conker's Bad Fur Day with this controller, it is not the most comfortable controller out there, especially for someone with big hands like me. So right off the bat, 21:9 resolution, we got 60 FPS, we got modern controls, you can remap all the controls you want, it has dual analog aiming, so normally when you're playing this game, you would have to hit the Z button down here to recenter the camera, because this thing ain't got two analog sticks. There was no, like, smooth camera control options back then. It was 1997, what did you expect? So you can play Ocarina of Time like you would any modern game, which is really cool. But personally, I think a really cool option is like, you know, you have all these features you can turn on, you have all these enhancements you can put onto a game. What if you just wanted to play in the original aspect ratio and resolution of the N64 and you didn't want any enhancements at all? Well, there actually is a quick toggle here called N64 mode. And if you hit that, it just turns it back to 4:3 aspect ratio, turns the resolution down to whatever the N64 output it at. I think it was like 480. No, 480 was the GameCube. Hold on. Okay, so a few games ran at 640x480. The most common though was 480x360. Okay, so like 360p basically, or 360i. Was this before progressive scan? I think this was interlaced. One of the things I want to do is I got that big ass CRT out in the other room. I want to get a computer hooked up to it so that I can run that game. I can run this decomp in N64 mode and output that onto the CRT. I think that would be fucking hilarious. So, you know, that might be a short one day. I don't know. But you have all kinds of different presets for enhancements. You can have your D-pad supported, so you can equip things onto your D-pad. You can speed up Link pushing and pulling rocks and boulders and shit. You can speed up the really annoying King Zora, like Mweep, like his little scoot over animation. You can speed that up. You can just completely skip it. You can increase damage. Like, I don't know why you'd want to increase damage like that, but there are some fucked options here deep within the settings. Spawn at full health, no random drops. Enable bomb chew drops, trees drop sticks. That's actually a pretty good one. No heart drops for like an extreme gameplay mode. Hyper bosses, hyper enemies. Like, okay, this is what I wanted to get to for the Ship of Harkinian. This is an experience tailored for people who know Ocarina of Time and really want to tinker with it. Every single minute thing you can possibly think of can be tweaked in this game, including like the size of Link's model. You can just make him bigger, or make the sword bigger, or you can just mess with a bunch of silly shit. Like, here you go, in the footage you're watching on the screen, I have a rainbow color changing tunic. And you can change the colors for everything on screen. Like, you could go really deep in the cosmetic options. You can change the color of all the tunics, all the gauntlets, the mirror shield, all the equipment, swords, consumables. And when I say like gauntlets and mirror shield, I don't mean like changing one color here and there. You can go into the advanced menu and you can change very specific color options on every single model of this fucking game. Like, why? Like, why would you put this in the game? I'm happy it's there, but why would you devote time into editing this kind of shit for the game? Like, it's fucking awesome, and I want to see more of this shit. But would you believe that that's not even the coolest thing about the Ship of Harkinian? Built into this decomp is a fully functional and extremely customizable randomizer. It's right there in the menu, right next to developer tools, and you can change everything about it. You can change what's open, what's closed, what items get randomized. You can go in and you can manually enable or disable the use of specific bugs, glitches, and exploits within the game to tell the randomizer, hey, these are the kinds of glitches I know how to do. You can expect me to use these glitches during my run through of the game, which is just so insanely in-depth. This recomp has been crafted with the most care, love, and attention that I have ever seen from fan projects like this. And I have played the Mario 64 decomp project. Do you fucking know how in-depth that shit goes? You're gonna in a little bit, because I'm going to make a video about that one too. I'm honestly regretting not checking out the Ship of Harkinian sooner, because oh my god, there is so much cool shit that you can tinker with. Most of the footage I recorded for this video that has probably been like popping up on screen here and there has been of my randomizer playthrough. There's an automatic item tracker, so whenever you pick up an item, the thing just automatically turns on whatever item you have. There's a check tracker for when you go into like a shop or something, and it says like, oh, you can buy like a gold Skulltula token or a shield or a hook shot, and it automatically locks that shit in and tracks it for you so you don't have to write a fucking pen and paper on the side. Even though there's a notes option in the item tracker, so you don't even have to use it if you don't want to. Now, of course, just like with the last project I talked about, you will need to supply your own ROMs. And because I care about this project and I don't want Nintendo to take it down, you will need to dump your own physical cartridge that you have laying around. The only downside is that you will need to track down a PAL ROM specifically. Excuse me, did I say ROM? I meant cartridge. You need to track down a PAL cartridge in order to play the Ship of Harkinian. Now, the reason they have this weird, seemingly arbitrary restriction on what ROMs you can and can't use with their decomp, they actually do have a pretty good reasoning here on their FAQ on their website, which I will link in the description down below. So why are only PAL versions supported? The decomp started on the debug version because the debug statements helped in identifying functionality during the decomp process. The only debug version available was PAL. In adding support for other versions of Ship of Harkinian, other PAL versions were much easier because of the underlying functionality, especially with language, were the same. NTSC will take a bit more to get working the first time because of that and other differences, but afterward it should be easier to add support for multiple NTSC versions. So at time of recording, you will need to have a PAL cartridge and dump the contents of that cartridge yourself in order to play the decomp project. But I mean, if I was able to do it for the sake of this video and playing the video game, then you can as well. And of course, because we don't want Nintendo to take this project down, we're not going to advocate for piracy during the discussion of this decomp project. These people work really hard on this project, and the last thing we want is to have another Yuzu situation, okay? You will have to do a little bit of homework if you want to get this done, but I'm telling you right now that homework is not challenging. Oh yeah, and like, how did I not mention this? Full Linux support right out the gate, just running as a native Linux app. And if you are a Linux user in the audience, then you should know that it comes as an app image. I don't quite know if Linux users like or dislike app images. I've never had problems with them in the past, but I'm not everybody, so just thought that you should know that before you download it. What's also really cool, something that I wasn't expecting, they have apps pre-compiled for both the Nintendo Switch and the Wii U. You can get Ocarina of Time running on your Wii U console better than Nintendo's own emulated version that they sold for like $10. That's fucking wild, isn't it? So yeah, Ship of Harkinian is very good. So good, in fact, that this is actually my sister's first time ever playing Ocarina of Time. I built her own computer, and I'm gonna put like a picture of this up on the screen right now. I'm having her play through Ocarina of Time just to like see how younger eyes view this game. And so far, the only complaint she has had about it is that at first she couldn't use the right analog stick to aim her camera, but I eventually like figured out how to make that work. You have to do a little bit of digging in menus to make it work, but I got it working on her system, and she's absolutely adoring this game so far. Which is just awesome, because Ocarina of Time is truly a timeless game when it comes down to how it was built and how it was designed. The only thing dated about the game are the controls and the graphics. Both of those can be enhanced now with this decomp. Sure, you're not going to get like Ocarina of Time and Unreal Engine levels of realism here. I think we would all like to see Nintendo actually port the 3D version of Ocarina of Time to like something like Switch or something, but they're probably not gonna do that. Best thing we got right now is this decomp, so big thanks to the Harbor Masters over at the Ship of Harkinian. This is easily one of the coolest fan projects I've seen in quite a while for a Nintendo game, and I would highly recommend all of you look into it and support the devs if you can. Anyway, that's all I really wanted to say. Big thank you to the YouTube lads here on the screen. We've seen a little bit of an increase in memberships as of late, and I really do appreciate it. I've started doing the Friday forum streams, which is right now a monthly stream where that's exclusive to members, and we can talk about like editing stuff. We responded to comments in the last one. That was actually a lot of fun. And a bunch of other perks. There's a video on my channel talking about all the perks you get with all of the different membership options. So if you have the ability to support this channel and you think that what I'm doing here is good, I would like that you do join memberships, because you actually do get some pretty good perks and all that fun stuff. Anyway, thank you for watching, and yeah, have a good day, everybody.